Hello and welcome. This is meditation, and I'm Rebecca, and I'm so happy to be here with you today. And we were just talking, pardon my polleny cough. We were just talking about this convergence of many holy celebrations that are going on, or recognitions, observances that are going on at this time, between Holy Week in the Christian tradition and Passover in the Jewish tradition and Ramadan in the Muslim tradition. And whether you celebrate any of these or observe any of these holidays or not, there is a lot of energy afoot. And it is always interesting to recognize when these convergences happen. All right, so I wanted to get us started, and pardon, I do have my little cough today. Okay. I wanted to get us started talking about how we recognize what are our obstacles to meditation. And I don't mean obstacles like I don't feel like it or I have too much to do. I mean, once we're sitting on the cushion, proverbially, or in the chair or lying down or whatever, however we choose to be in meditation, what are the things that feel like they are getting in the way of our feeling successful in our meditation? And I know in a lot of traditions, the instruction is to clear your mind. And I've talked about this before, but it bears repeating that in my tradition of insight meditation, based on Vipassana meditation, that we are not trying to create blankness in our minds. We are trying to recognize when thoughts, emotions, sensations, songs, patterns keep popping up in our minds. And first we begin by recognizing them. Then we begin by, we move on by separating ourselves just a little bit from them and noticing that there is an us, a we, who is doing the recognizing, right? That's creating the concept of the observer. Who is thinking the thought? Who is noticing the thought? Ah, that's the observer, that's the witness. And then being able to let the thought go without getting caught up in the story of the thought, right? So we can think, oh, I really need to ... and then say, oh, wait, I'm thinking. And instead of getting our mind on our to-do list, we can say, oh, right, that's a thought, and let it go. Or we feel a pain and we start going, oh God, my shoulder's hurting again. What does this mean? And what am I going to do? We get caught up in a story about the pain rather than just noticing the pain. Doesn't mean the pain goes away, but we don't have to go into the story of the pain. And the same with our emotions and et cetera, our different kinds of thoughts that pop up. And so we're going to work over the next couple of sessions on noticing when we're thinking. That's first, that is the practice. If you can notice your thought, you're meditating. And then talk about how to not get caught up in the story of our thought, and not to get caught up in too much characterizing of whether our thought, emotion, or sensation is good or bad, right? We do this. We put judgments on, first of all, how successful we are being in our meditation. We put judgments on, pardon me, on the content, right? The story of our thought. And if we can, I have a book up on my shelf that's, the title is something like Making Your Mind an Ally. So if we can ally with our minds and say, I hear you, I know you're thinking, I know this is important, and for the next 3, 5, 10, 20 minutes, we're going to put that aside and focus on something else. So that's the creation of that touchstone or sacred center, or, you know, the thing we come back to, which might be the breath, it might be the feeling in our hands, it might be another type of sensation of feeling, you know, with the third eye, or listening to a sound, or something we look at, something that can absorb our attention and allow us to say, I'm thinking again, back to my breath. I'm thinking again, back to that sensation or that vision, whatever it is that you're working with. Okay, so that is the practice. That's it right there. Noticing your thoughts, letting them go, coming back to something. So today we're going to talk about a couple of different ways of dealing with thoughts when they come up. And we've talked about some of these before, the thinking, which is just something you say to yourself to say, wait a second, that's a thought. I can distinguish, rather than, I hope you're understanding what I mean by this, that our brain goes a mile a minute. And if we can just stop for just a millisecond and go, wait a second, I'm thinking, then we can step back from it and release it. So it's the first is the, aha, I'm thinking. That's the development of the witness. And then there are many different ways of releasing our thoughts. I put up a cloud picture because sometimes imagining your thought as a cloud in the sky and allowing the cloud to become the thought. So it takes the content out, and then the cloud can just move away. It could be a wave in the ocean. I personally work quite a bit with bubbles, you know, like you blow bubbles. And I put my thought into an imaginary bubble and pop it. And the thought just dissipates. It's just something to occupy your mind as you're beginning to discern what is a thought. And then one that's been, we've talked about before that people have liked is this idea of being at a train station. And the train comes in, that's your thought. And you can see the train, but you don't have to get on the train. If you get on the train of thought, the metaphor, but if you take the train and let it take you away from yourself, then that's where we lose our presence. But if we can notice, there's a thought, there's that train, and then watch it go, send it off. Okay, I've given you a lot of things quickly. We've talked about most of these before, but I just wanted to sort of go through our list. So we're going to go into meditation now. And the first thing that I want you to work with is just noticing when something intrudes in your focus. So first you'll choose, are you going to do a breath-focused meditation, which is what I generally lead? And if breath is not your friend for whatever reason, then maybe you are focusing on a movement or another sensation. Maybe you have a ticking clock in your background and you can focus on that as a sound. Or some people like to have their eyes open and focus on a photo or a candle flame or something like that. So choose what your focus, your sacred center is going to be, and then set yourself up to be in your meditative seat. So for that, we want good support. So if you're sitting, make sure that you are well supported. Maybe your feet are touching the ground. That can be helpful. It's not a requirement. Maybe your hands are resting on your lap or on a armrest or something nearby. If you're lying down, make sure again that you feel well supported and in a position where you can remain awake. There are meditations that lead us into sleep, but this is not what we're doing here. Here we're awake. And then begin to notice what is present for you today. Can you feel your feet making contact with the ground or wherever they're making contact? Feeling your bottom in your seat or maybe your back along the floor. If your eyes are still open, notice the colors, the patterns, the textures around you. Identify something. Ah, I see this pattern. And then let it go and allow your focus to become soft or close your eyes. Beginning to turn your attention more deeply inward. Noticing whatever you've chosen for your sacred center, if it's sensation or sound or visual if your eyes are open, or if it's the sensation of breath as it moves in your body. Let's all use the breath to help us lengthen our spines and use the breath to help us release and let go of any held tension. Softening through our shoulders, neck and jaw. Smoothing the muscles of your face, especially between your eyebrows and in your forehead. Let everything be soft and heavy, centered and focused. And as you begin to drop into your meditation with great compassion and without judgment, begin to identify when you're thinking. And welcome your thoughts, your sensations, your emotions. Notice them. And then find a way of sending them on. Are they clouds, bubbles, trains, waves, or something else? Notice, send them on, and come back to Sacred Center. We'll move into some quiet. Begin to deepen your breath. Bringing small movements into hands and feet, arms and legs. Maybe roll your head gently from side to side. If you're lying down, roll to one side and pause before pressing into your hands and bringing yourself up to sitting. Allowing your attention to stay deeply inward for another moment or two. We'll seal our practice with one chant of Om for the community we create when we practice together. If you'd like to join, bringing hands together at heart center, we'll inhale. Om Shanti, peace, peace, peace. Jai Bhagwan, may the light in each of us be victorious. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me and with each other.